Hey friend, Mike Robertson here, and I got a question in my DMs the other day that I wanted to answer here. Hopefully it helps you out a little bit. So the question's simple. How do you load 5x5? Do you do all the sets the same way? Do you ramp up? Do you go down? And there's not one correct way to do this, so I want to give you a couple different examples. The first way that you can do this is to do what people would describe as an ascending loading protocol. So let's say you're working up to 300 for the day. Maybe you do a set or two at 240, maybe you do a set or two at 270, and then you finish up with a set or two at 300. If you're familiar with like Jim Wendler's 531, he does a system similar to this where he ascends the weight as you go up across the different sets. Another way you can do this is called descending. Now, I'll be honest, it's probably my least favorite of all the different loading protocols. So what you do in this case is you'd warm up and maybe you just hit some singles at 240, 270, and then you'd actually start at 300 for, say 1, 2, maybe up to 3 sets, and then you kind of work your way back down. But generally you're not going to take as big of a jumps when you go back down. So maybe you go 300 for a couple sets, 280, finish up with 260. Again, it's not my favorite, mostly because when you get to that first set of 300, it's a jolt to your system. I don't care how much you've warmed up. When you're going straight into your big weight, generally it's going to be a little bit jarring to the system. So ascending is probably my favorite. Descending is probably my least favorite. If there's a kind of like an in the middle or a middle ground between all these, it would be flat loading. So in this case, what you do here is maybe you do a single at 240, a single at 270. And then what you're going to do for all 5 of your sets would be to hit 300 pounds. Now, I'll tell you, because I used to use this system a lot myself, the first set is, again, it's kind of jarring to the system. That first set of 5 is a little bit of a struggle. But what you find is your second set, your third set, maybe even your fourth set go really well. And by the 5th set, you're pretty fatigued. So you kind of got to grind it out. So there's not one right or wrong approach. It really depends on what works best for you. If I had to say again, my favorite is probably ascending, especially as I get older, especially as I work with more athletes. You kind of need those reps. You need those sets of 5 to kind of groove your way into the pattern, to groove your lift, to make sure everything's hitting right. Because at the end of the day, you really only need a couple sets to get that stimulus. Descending, probably my least favorite, just because it's such a jolt to the system. And just when you kind of feel like you're getting your groove, now you're backing the weight off. And then if you want just, a lot of pain and a lot of struggle, the flat loading can give you a lot of bang for your buck. Again, that first set and the last set are really difficult, but you get a lot of volume at a pretty high intensity load. So I hope this helps you out a little bit. If you have any other questions or you want me to break anything else down for you, drop me a line either in the comments or shoot me a DM. I'd love to help you out.